In this session, I shall be reacting on the short video by the father of modern entrepreneurship, Steve Blank. He will tell us more about the customer development process. So this is a video done in 2014. So why don't we listen right now?
So one of the really interesting developments about this class is this whole customer development process. It says you start with your business model canvas hypothesis. And in fact, what you really do is you blow up the canvas and you actually post it to the wall. And you use yellow stickies, no pens or pencils allowed, because you are going to get most of them wrong. But you're going to make it visible and you will actually begin to construct your hypotheses. And the next thing you'll do is look at them and go, hey, there aren't any facts in this room. Let's get out of the building and talk to customers.
So this is the famous statement, get out of the building. Why? Because you will test all the hypotheses you put in your business model canvas. This canvas, which was developed by Alexander Osterwalder, again, another proponent of the lean startup methodology. So I will be telling you more about this later.
And partners and vendors, and we'll learn how to do this with some rigor, with a process, not just randomly getting out, but actually design experiments, run tests, get data, and more importantly, get some insight.
Okay, so what do you do after writing off your business model canvas? Okay, you actually begin to make hypotheses. Those things that you've written on the canvas are just what? Hypotheses. For example, in one of the major segment of the business model canvas is your customer segments or your target market. You will write down there your assumptions. This is just hypothesis that you put in the canvas. Why a canvas? Because it is changing. We could iterate, we could improve it, we could delete some of the things that we've written here because this is what? This is a dynamic piece of document. Okay? Not everything written here at the time being is what? Written or carved in stone. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Hindi permanente yung isusulat mo dyan. It could change based on what? Based on the feedback that you will learn once you get out of the building. Why do you get out of the building? You will validate the things you've written here. For example, the customer segment. We'll find out, tama ba yung sinulat mong primary target market mo? Second, then you go out, you validate. How will you validate the learnings that you will get from your customers? You do that by doing experiments. You run tests, get data. How? Surveys is one. Customer interviews is one. And so on and so forth. Are you getting it, class?
The customer development process is kind of interesting. The customer development process is actually a 4-step process. The first step is customer discovery. This is where you construct your hypotheses and you get out of the building and start testing your assumption about whether other people have the same problem or need you think they have. And then you're going to do customer validation and actually see if your proposed solution actually matches what you think the customer problem was. And this test of between problem and solution and your features and customers is actually sometimes called product market fit. That's what you're out testing. And this is what we call the search for the business model. But now instead of randomly doing this by hiring and firing sales execs and trying to make numbers that really are just random guesses, we're actually going to have you get out as early as possible and test some of these primary assumptions. One of the interesting things on the bottom of this diagram that we'll talk about is something called the pivot. And the pivot is what will save your job. Once you find this repeatable and scalable business model, then you go into the execution phase of customer development. And that's about creating a...
Let me say something about the pivot here. To pivot means to change direction or to utterly abandon the chosen path that you have started. Ano ibig sabihin yun? Magpapalit ka na. So, during your customer discovery, when you get out of the building, you found out hindi naman pala ito yung tamang target market ko. Or I might be introducing a product or a service to the wrong market. So what would you do in a pivot? You change direction. Yung pivot dito, explanation ko dito is just like Michael Jordan, the GOAT of basketball, the greatest of all times, number 23, Chicago Bulls. You see him drive the ball, huh? Huh? And he is approaching the hoop, but he is blocked by two huge towers, Shaquille O'Neal, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of the Los Angeles Lakers. So what happens? Instead of driving to the hoop, instead of pursuing that direction, what will he do? Pag abante niyang ganun, pipihit siya 180 degrees. Okay? And then he will change direction. He turns to the left and then again drives back to the hoop until he gets lost of those blocking him or pursuing him. Yun yung pivot. Magpapalit ka ng either magpapalit ka ng produkto, magpapalit ka ng service, magpapalit ka ng target market mo, o altogether, babaguhin mo lahat ang system mo. So that is very, very important, very, very critical. This is where a lot of startups fail. If you fail to do this process, then you will lose, you will spend a lot of money. You will lose, you will burn all your resources dito kapag ka hindi mo to ginawa ng tama. That's why in Lean Startup, we launch quickly and then we need to learn fast. So once we know, we found out the business model, tumama na yung laman ng ating business model canvas, then we will execute. Okay? So let's carry on.
End user demand and scale, called customer creation, and then building the organizations to actually build your company for scale by transitioning from customer development into a functional organization that's oriented for constant and rapid execution.
So this is our source, how to build a startup and the Lean Launchpad. But all these videos are found on Steve Blank's YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Sir Steve Blank. Ito yung pangatlong Steve na I really look forward to and put on a pedestal of learning. Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and the third Steve that I have learned to love and follow, Steve Blank. So, what have we learned so far? I'll be getting your takeaways. So shall we start?